to assess state-owned enterprises with a mandate to determine which of them should be disposed of by the state.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone and Prime Insurance. There has been public outrage this week when Joe News disclosed the extent of fat salaries and allowances being enjoyed by executives of many non-performing state-owned enterprises. It emerged these executives get juicy allowances, including holiday facilities, both internal and external holidays, mandatory full medical examination yearly abroad, 1,500 cedi entertainment allowance a month, an out of station allowance where accommodation and meals will be provided, an inconvenience allowance of 500 cedi per day. Even their funeral grants and donations made by the executives are covered under their conditions of service borne by the taxpayer. Well, this is just a few of the host of allowances that they take. The revelation came in the wake of the recent State Enterprises report that revealed how these SOEs made a collective loss of 6 billion cedis in 2020 alone. So today, when the Minister for Public Enterprises took his turn at government's Meet the Press series, he was asked why these executives continue to take these fat and juicy salaries and allowances while presiding over colossal losses. Joseph Kujo did not hesitate to come to the defense of the SOEs. Listen.
Why maintain CEOs making losses and still taking fat salaries? Why not fire them? I believe every Ghanaian is a fireman. And when it comes to soccer, the coach must be fired for non-performance. This must be fired. So I understand. But then, interestingly, when you appoint somebody to a position as an investor or a shareholder or owner of a company, your interest is for profit or efficiency depending on the nature, especially the state. Sometimes, let me cite an example. You see a CEO reporting losses. I'll use ECG, which all of us know. ECG is reporting losses. The CEO is there. First year 1 loss, year 2 loss, year 3 loss, year 4 loss. And then Nana Poku says, the CEO is taking salary and reporting losses. Fire him. Okay. In fact, if Nana Poku understands that the CEO is reporting losses because the electricity tariff they are charging is low, then Nana Poku would tone down. The issue is that when ECG sets a tariff that is cost reflective and incorporates margin, next month they will make profit. So Nana Poku, should I ask ECG to set that tariff so that they report? And if we will cry and not agree to that tariff, and ECG is reporting losses, should we cry? It is the same for Ghana Water, but the state entities don't have that window. So a lot of them, you see CEOs in place reporting losses because we are not willing to pay the right selling price. Because to report profit means that revenue should be generated, cost should be paid, interest, taxes, salaries, utilities, every cost should be paid for, and then you report a profit. So their reporting of profit depends on us, not on the manager you want to fire. Because the manager may be technically competent, professionally savvy, and everything, but right pricing or wrong pricing is what will determine the profitability.
So, specifically, what about their fat salaries and allowances? Here's the minister's response to that.
Fat salaries. Maybe you are talking to the wrong person on salaries when it is fat. I openly declare anywhere that I am an advocate for good salaries. And if this is bad, tell me this is bad. I am an advocate for good salaries. Good salary because I have said this. I know foreign companies even come here, and when they are paying good salaries, Ghanaian personnel managers, HR advise not to pay good salaries. The difference between a country becoming wealthy is for people to be paid good salaries. That is all. Because it is when they can cater for their needs and also save in the financial system, then deposits build up in the financial system to enable the financial system give loans to businesses and individuals who need them. So if somebody is taking fast salary, my issue is always whether the person is giving an output that reflects the salary. That is all. If the person is performing and taking good salary, I clap for the person. If the person is not performing and not taking that good salary, you exact performance from the person because you are paying the person. So I am a lover of fat salaries. Do you understand? I am a lover of fat salaries. Let me say. So you can't you can't use me to pay people bad. I always speak for people who are not paid well. So when somebody is being paid well, then the person is already there. And I'd rather speak for people who are not paid well.
And that is the sector minister responsible for public enterprises, Joseph Kujo, speaking today at the minister's press briefing at the Information Ministry. And thankfully, Mr. Joseph Kujo himself, the sector minister, joins us on the telephone line right now. Thank you, Mr. Kujo, for your time here on Top Story.
Yeah, you're welcome, Ivan.
Also joining us is your friend, Kofi Bentel, the Vice President of Imani Africa, who will also join us very shortly. But Mr. Kujo, let me start with you. You said in that clip we heard there, quote, if somebody is taking fat salaries, my issue is always whether the person is giving an output that reflects the salary, end of quote. Considering that these state-owned enterprise executives collectively supervised a loss to the state of 2.61 billion cedi, is that an output deserving of the fat salaries and allowances?
Evans, I think I set the context right by telling everybody the fact of reporting a loss, meaning you set a price at which you sell your product or service. You set the price, not the consumer setting the price for you. So you set the price, and then you incur costs to operate, operational costs, overhead. You incur all those. Pay interest on funds used, pay taxes to government. And when you have accounted for all such costs, then you generate profit for the shareholder. So profit is dependent on right pricing of a service or good. In the public sector space, I use this as an example. I have been in energy ministry. I know the tariff generated, the IPPs, the cost of generating power, cost of transmitting power, the distribution cost. I know I have an idea what is it. And then the end tariff being paid by the consumer. If you analyze it and you allow ECG to reflect all these costs, taking care of two other factors, the commercial losses, technical losses, taking care of them, which is where you exact performance of them from. Then they put on their margin, they do their pricing, and bingo, they are profitable. And then you clap for them. And then you say they deserve the salary. But when you are not giving them the opportunity to set the price themselves, like I illustrated during the presentation, I use an Apple phone. Who set the price for them? Am I the one setting the price for them? They do 70% gross profit margin, and they will be profitable and generate wealth all the time. Some of the utilities we superintend over do not have that window. That is the point I'm making.
Yeah, but I had the example you cite of ECG
Yeah.
Ghana Water, but I put it to you, those are wrong examples to cite in this context, is it not? Let's cite other examples like the Ghana Airports Company, Graphic Communications. Those, they set their own prices. They determine how much they sell their products for. In the report that you own yourself and SIGA put out, Ghana Airports Company posted a net loss of 435.5 million in 2020. Graphic Communications posted a net loss of 1.94 million. How do you explain that? And yet, as we've heard, their CEOs still take away these juicy salaries. Do they also come under the justification I've heard you put out?
Yeah, Ivan, thanks. Remember that the reporters, the financial year 2020, the financial year 2020, all of us, your listeners inclusive, everybody knows that financial year in the life of every business entity. Ghana Airport Company, what is their sources of revenue? Aircraft were grounded. You know it. Aircraft were grounded. So their sources of revenue were impaired in that year. You cited Graphic Communications. They were not also better off in the same COVID environment.
In what sense? They're a media organization. Why would they incur a loss because COVID came along?
We were all in lockdown. Remember, significant part of the year. Newspaper, print media for information sharing were impaired. Companies were not physically in a lockdown mode. So
I put it to you that is not how it operated. I mean, that is not what happened when it comes to Graphic.
What I'm saying is that you know their product. You know it.
Yes. That was not affected, was it? I mean, but by COVID?
Yeah, please. You and I know COVID environment, how social media took over the news space rather than physical printed news media. You know it. So that is how businesses operate in an environment. When the environment is good, and I'm talking about market environment, product itself. Of course, there are parameters. Let me say this: this is not a blunt defense. I am saying financial year 2020 was a different year. That is the point I'm making.
Yeah, but the fundamental question I'm asking is, in spite of that, we saw significant losses across the board. Cocoa Marketing Company, another example, 4.7 million loss. My question fundamentally to you, and that was asked at the press conference. We've seen the juicy allowances they take while supervising year-on-year huge losses. Is your argument that they deserve it?
And no, listen. I remember across private sector firms and public sector firms, people should have been sacked for us to have understood this conversation. Companies were not delivering service or products, but they were not in business. But company owners in private sector, in public sector, continue to pay salaries, continued to hold their businesses so that they do not collapse. They did anything they could to serve their customer base so that they don't come dead. This happened. So a lot of companies operated in a loss making environment.
But their losses predate COVID. I mean, COVID, they were making
No,
even more significant losses before COVID.
yes. You see, that is why you need entity by entity and then service by service to understand, because you can it's difficult making a general statement. We know but the 5-year history of the country has been characterized with losses, high indebtedness, and so on. Now we have put in place measures to deal with this. That is why we have a Minister for Public Enterprises you are speaking to at the moment.
Yes, I'll be grateful you can address a direct question about the fat salaries. You say you're a lover of fat salaries. My question to you is, are you justifying the salaries they're getting in the midst of the reporting that we've heard and you yourself complained about the need for enhancement and improvement in efficiency, cutting back the losses? Are you saying that they are deserving of these fat salaries?
Wait, I invoked my personal principle that I am an advocate for good salaries. If you want to extend to CEOs are taking fat salaries, the question is, are they taking fat salaries? I think that question itself needs to be interrogated.
Are they taking fat salaries or not? From you, as a minister responsible for the sector, are they?
I haven't gone to their how do I put it, their bank accounts, their salary. I